and Maddie genuinely believes we were put on earth to do exactly what we're doing now. We love doing this. We love meeting new people, and it just gets us so freaking excited. We think you as family, and we love you all. So, at the base and the heart of midlife crisis, not gonna lie, it's Mikey G and Maddie Mintz. And why it is because over 30 years ago, I met this crazy SOB at the 4th grade bus stop. I swear to you, when I first laid eyes on this dude, he was perpendicular to the ground, or not perpendicular, like horizontal to the ground, hanging at a 90-degree off a stop sign. And I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And since that, we had a budding, flourishing relationship, been best friends our whole lives. Obviously, life got in the way. You go to college, you get married, you start businesses, things happen. Fittingly enough, our midlife crisis brought us back together, hence the name. We're older than most people in this space, but we found NFTs about a year ago, and then we said, you know what, we're really gonna create a company. As we get more connected, as we go into the metaverse, what we're about to do is meeting new people, having real raw conversations. We think it's gonna become a lost art. So we're here to make that happen, to bring it all to you, and to help you expand, learn, and grow. And we came up with a very simple mission statement. That mission statement is to bring back the lost art of genuine human connection. And I got one last thing to say, and I'm dead serious when I say this. I genuinely, and Maddie genuinely believes we were put on earth to do exactly what we're doing now. We love doing this. We love meeting new people, and it just gets us so freaking excited. We think you as family, and we love you all. So, at the base and the heart of midlife crisis, not gonna lie, it's Mikey G and Maddie Mintz. And why it is because over 30 years ago, I met this crazy SOB at the 4th grade bus stop. I swear to you, when I first laid eyes on this dude, he was perpendicular to the ground, or not perpendicular, like horizontal to the ground, hanging at a 90-degree off a stop sign. And I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And since that, we had a budding, flourishing relationship, been best friends our whole lives. Obviously, life got in the way. You go to college, you get married, you start businesses, things happen. Fittingly enough, our midlife crisis brought us back together, hence the name. We're older than most people in this space, but we found NFTs about a year ago, and then we said, you know what, we're really gonna create a company. As we get more connected, as we go into the metaverse, what we're about to do is meeting new people, having real raw conversations. We think it's gonna become a lost art. So we're here to make that happen, to bring it all to you, and to help you expand, learn, and grow. And we came up with a very simple mission statement. That mission statement is to bring back the lost art of genuine human connection. And I got one last thing to say, and I'm dead serious when I say this. I genuinely, and Maddie genuinely believes we were put on earth to do exactly what we're doing now. We love doing this. We love meeting new people, and it just gets us so freaking excited. We think you as family, and we love you all. What up, folks? We're back. Mike G, Maddie Mintz. We had some technical difficulties. We're still working a little sound situation. You know, we all moved. I screwed up things, and now Maddie's working on some things. So we're gonna see how this works. But my voice was echoing a little bit. Spazoinks, Stargirl, thank you for being here. Welcome back. It's awesome to see that we have people that return, even though we take a long break. We're gonna have a good one tonight. We got Beni, who has made NFT Butler one of the hottest bidding tools in this space. But before we introduce him, I gotta ask how Maddie's doing. Maddie, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good once I get this sound figured out. I'm doing awesome though, man. I'm in Florida now. Very nice. Uh, Dude, I spent a Sunday at the pool in February. It's really nice. So I'm excited about that. I got my computer set up, but you know how it is, man. Once you unplug everything, you don't even touch the plugs in your Discord, or your Streamlabs will decide to just change settings, and here I am. So I'm trying to figure it out. I'll get there. I'll get
So,
there.
and when we're talking like this, Maddie, I think it'll be okay because it's so slight. It's not a big deal. I just, mute when I'm having conversation with Benny just to be safe. Because I can barely at chat. Can you hear my voice echoing? Because let's just see. If they don't hear it, then I think we should be good. Stargirl, Spazoinks, how is it sounding all to you right now? Because I want to make sure we're gonna get some awesome audio. And okay, so you don't hear an echo wire, man. Well,
Okay. All right.
I totally hear it, and maybe that's just I don't know. I don't know where that's coming from, but all right, we're gonna roll with that. If you all don't hear it, but Matt, I would still just mute just to be safe when you
Yeah,
can think
I
about it.
will. All right,
Um,
I'm gonna mute.
But yes, thank you all for being here. We're going to have an awesome night tonight. Little technical difficulties, but heck, we're going to make it happen anyways, and we're going to have a good time. But before we ask the famous midlife crisis, world famous question, we're going to introduce our man Benny here. And we'd like to do that with a very quick bulleted list of a little resume and then one fun fact. And I'm excited about his fun fact because I love the games as well. So, starting off with kind of the resume, he's been in security and software engineering a majority of his career. He's also done some software development and has also worked for one of the largest Swisscom internet companies for over a decade. He knows what he's doing when it comes to building softwares and tools. The man has had a professional career, and we're going to talk all about it. I can't wait. But the fun fact is awesome because I love games, and so does our boy Benny. He's a Souls player. We're talking Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, some of the hardest games that you can play. Why I love them, not so much that I'm a glutton for punishment, but the fact that it reminds me of when I played Nintendo, and the original Ninja Gaiden was one of the hardest games in the world. And it reminds me of how the old school hard video games were, and they kind of brought it back. What are your thoughts there, Benny? Tell us why you love those games.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Today's games are too easy, right? So Souls games really give you this Superman feeling after trying 100 hours on the same boss, and you finally get this beast down. You feel like superhero. So I really love that.
Oh, dude, it's so good. And I mean, it is frustrating. It's not for everybody because you do have to play the same boss about 100 times. But
Sometimes, yes.
but it is definitely rewarding. Um, when you can get the boss down and you find out all the nuances, it makes you feel like an accomplished player. uh
Yes.
but with that being said, man, welcome to the show. Thank you for stopping by. It is 3 a.m. for Benny too, so let's talk about true business owner, entrepreneurship, and road warrior. Thanks for stopping in, man. How you doing?
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor to be here. We have planned this for a long time and we finally made it. It's really great.
Oh, dude,
I
it's gonna be amazing, and I can't wait, and we're gonna have a blast. So let's just do it, man. Let's get into the world famous midlife crisis question. And that world famous midlife crisis question is, how did you get to the seat you're sitting in today? Please give us how we explained it in your own terms. Star Wars episode 1, 2, and 3. But don't worry about all three at once. Let's start with episode 1, which is, where were you born? How were you raised? What did your childhood look like? Take us through that. We'll spend about a half hour on that, and then we'll move on to the next episode. So let's have at it.
Awesome. So I grew up in Switzerland. Switzerland is at the very center of Europe. It's a very small country. We have about 8 million people, a lot of mountains. We speak 5 languages in this country: French, German, Italian, and something between French and Italian, Romance.
Okay.
So four languages. Yeah, so it's very multicultural and a lot of mountains, and we have to learn a lot of languages. I always hated to learn languages in school, but now that I'm a business owner and also when I started IT, I saw, okay, you need to learn English. This was the most important, but French was not so my thing. We had to learn French as well, so I didn't like that.
I love it. And so how about your family and what was schooling and childhood like? Did you live a basic upbringing? Any fun things that you went through and kind of take us through your formative years?
Of course. So I'm a single child, but already as a child, I was very curious and always going straight to people and without, telling them what will come next. I was talking to everyone, so I was always very straight, and my parents had issues, holding me back. Teachers always said, Benny needs to hold back. He's always jumping on everyone and telling everything. Um, in my childhood, I think in kindergarten, I also met Dave. Dave is now my co-founder of Edelverse GmbH, where we do our products like NFT Butler. So we already met like at 8 and we played Pokemon cards together, and then we started playing Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering was the big thing coming up in 1998 or something, or 99, something like that. This was so amazing. We were roaming the city, playing against, other kids and in the magic shops. Yeah, I think that was really the start also for gaming for me a little bit. Yeah.
Right. And so you said you were always a very curious person as well. Where do you think that came from?
It's part of my character. I just cannot hold back. If I think something, I need to tell it.
Okay.
And I think also as a single child, I talked to my mother today, actually about it. I think it's also maybe part of the single childhood, since everyone takes care about you. You feel like you're very important, right? And whenever you say something, everyone will listen and talk back to you, because you have 2 parents watching just for you, right? So maybe that also supported this characteristic, that I just go directly open into, also with new people, like having a beer outside. I just love to connect and socialize.
That's an interesting fact. And then, follow up with that on your mother. You've already talked about your mother before we came on air, and you've already mentioned her a couple times. Can you talk about how she was and the impact that she had on you?
Sure. She was pregnant with 18, so when she was
Wow.
still doing the gymnasium here in Switzerland, it's not university, but 1 degree below university. So when she was still finishing school, basically, when she was pregnant, so that was in the 80s, that was still, people would be hoof, and it's still today, right? I mean, if you're pregnant with 18, it's still a very special case. So
Right.
so she decided to give birth to me. Lucky me, yes. and she actually already had me when she finished school, like on the final exams, and she was one of the best in school, but just not close enough to be at the top 10, because at the top 10 she would be able to go on stage and get a special certificate, and she would have loved to do this with me on her arms, right? Because everyone was talking in the school, of course.
Yeah.
So I was a very young mother. This was really great because I always felt very close to my mother, like a very good friend. I could speak about everything I do in life with her, and she will give me good advice. And I also had a lot of freedom with her. Like she was like, do whatever you need to do, just don't forget, Benny, you need to think for yourself. So what is good and what is bad for you. So she just taught me how to, make good decisions in life.
Right, right. And that's interesting that you say that, because being a single parent is difficult as well. But it's cool to see that she kind of gifted you with those um, positive impacts. Were there times though that you felt like was she just always there? Was she just grinding that much that you felt like you didn't miss her much and she was there for you all the time?
Yes, always.
That's awesome, man. That is a
Never too much.
testament to a very strong mother, and bringing a strong will as long as well. So take us through kind of you got into Magic the Gathering and gaming. How about through, the rest of elementary school, high school, kind of up till you decided to either do college or start your professional career? Do you have anything else there to add?
Yeah, sure. So, um, first, a lot of matching and football and playing sports outside. And with Dave, we also explored a lot of Blizzard games. Dave, my co-founder Dave, he was allowed to play any games at home, and my father was very strict. Like, you can only play games if the number is matching your age and stuff like that. So I was able to play Diablo 1 and Warcraft 2 at Dave's place when I was a teenager, and this was the ultimate wow for me. This is like, whoa, this is a new world. I love this world. I need to explore it. So I started to hang around with Dave more and more just to be able to play games over there, since I wasn't able to play them at home. And yeah, and through teenage years, we really played all these Blizzard games. Like, I loved them all of them. Warcraft 3 brought so much creativity to gaming because of the map editor, actually, and the possibility to create fun maps. So Dota and, a lot of tower defense, everything is coming from Warcraft 3 fun maps. So that was a blast. Diablo 2. And when I turned into late teenager years, where I should decide, what do I want to do? Do I want to go to university, or do I want to learn a profession? At this point, I really started playing World of Warcraft, and I was like 15. My parents divorced at this time, so it was a tough time for my mother. And I kind of flew into this virtual world of World of Warcraft because I wasn't, I don't know, but I think, like, I didn't want to see my mother suffering because she was such a strong person for me always. And and after all this childhood with games, now I can finally play as much as I want. And then there is World of Warcraft. So there I played World of Warcraft for like 2 years. It was also part of my last school year. And I had an average online playing time of 12 hours per day after these 2 years.
Wow.
So, so I
Wow.
was really completely addicted. I did not learn for anything in school. I sometimes I gave exams back empty because I didn't want to mess around with French anymore or something like that.
Right.
So I didn't even pass my last school year, and I played World of Warcraft all day and night long. But I was in the top 3 guilds on our server, with beating the new bosses and everything. So I was very successful in World of Warcraft once.
That is insane. 12 hours a day for 2 years
So
straight. Maddie, what are you thinking, buddy?
yeah, so a couple things, because I know I got windows I can chat. I want to go back because I definitely want to talk about this World of Warcraft thing. But you said that there's a lot of languages there and that you love talking to people, but that you didn't like learning French. How many languages do you speak? Let me ask that.
Only German and English. And I also speak French now because I traveled a lot to Morocco because my father married a Moroccan woman after his
Got it.
divorce. So finally,
Got
I
it.
saw sense in French. When I had to use it, it was much easier to pick up after all the teasing in school, right? So, but my French is still not very good.
I see. So when you said you were very social and talking to people and direct, is everybody speaking mostly German? Are they speaking mostly French, mostly English?
German, but as a kid, I can talk to any. We were traveling a lot in a big car, my caravan, I think.
Yeah, caravan.
So we were traveling around Europe. So most of the time, I wouldn't speak any shared language with those kids, but I can just talk with body language. We were
I
always,
see.
Oh,
always will connect. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's interesting because what you just described being very social but not being able to speak the language, you wouldn't think that intuitively, right? It would, but that says a lot about your ability to communicate through other methods. So let's get to the juicy part though here. You failed your last year because you were playing so much World of Warcraft. First of all, what kind of character did you have? I know there's some World of Warcraft fans out there.
yes.
What kind of character were you?
I played a mage. Frost
Mage,
mage was it? Yeah, frost
Frost
mage
Mage.
was it.
Okay, all right. So you got the World of Warcraft Frost Mage. You were in the top three in the of the guilds.
And that was
You,
really vanilla, and only until Burning Crusade came out, then I quit. So like really 40 people raids, Molten Rock, we had to be Frost Mage because it was so hard to beat Ragnaros in the first place before tier 1 sets. And then Blackwing's Horse, I think, and
okay.
and Ankirei. So those were really the big 40 people, right? And it was really hard to coordinate 40 people, but it was also like Souls games, this amazing reward once you beat one of those final world bosses in the top 3 of Europe, or maybe top 10 of Europe, I think. But really quickly, and
Yeah.
everyone was talking what is the best strategy and how can we get it, and yeah, that was amazing.
That's awesome. So how did that affect? I mean, how did that affect school? If you failed out your last year, did you go? Did you just take it again and then pass, or how did that work? Just
Yes,
done school?
pass.
Just done school?
I didn't even notice. They told me after the year, you have finished school, you haven't passed, but you're done. And I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. But
Okay, that's how it works then. Yeah, no, that's wild, man. So, because I will say this, I mean, Mikey can attest. A lot of people in this space come from an MMO background, and we hear we don't hear World of Warcraft as much as we hear. Why am I dropping total blank on that, Mikey? The game that everybody seems to
RuneScape.
have played. Thank you, RuneScape. RuneScape seems to be what everybody played. But it is interesting how many of us were one, gamers, and two, passionate about like that MMO role playing, grinding, getting gear, economies, all of that stuff brought us into this space. I think that's somewhat interesting. What are your thoughts around that?
definitely, yeah. And really building in the NFT space for me also feels like a little bit like a game. And the awesome part is I can now program in this world. So this is really amazing.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. And I think the other thing, and one of the way I think what Maddie was getting at is, um, are there skill sets that you think you've learned through? Because hey, you might have barely got through school, but you picked things up while you were playing that game 12 hours a day for multiple years on end. What do you think you brought or gained from that period of your life?
So I think one of the most important learnings I got from gaming is I loved always strategy games and role playing games. So I learned a lot of, in all these simulators like Anno or also a roller coaster tycoon, wherever you have an economy and you are simulating something or you have planets and solar systems and stuff. Um, you are basically learning how to strategize your economy and political skills. So I think that's a very direct learning curve in strategic games. And I think also you learn to do a very quick decision-making process. And in IT or when coding, also when you're founding a business, you have to take so many decisions and you don't have experts for everything. So you really need to focus on what KPIs do I know and what should I base my decision on and take a decision fast just
Yeah.
to move forward quickly. So I think that's one of the most important learnings.
No, I think that's a great insight. And what I'm hearing is that kind of helped mold more maybe your analytical mind and looking at more of numbers and strategies. Is that right?
Yes, definitely. A lot,
Awesome. I
yeah.
love it. Maddie, any other questions before we kind of move on to the kind of past high school formative years?
Yeah, I would just say, I mean, so other than being a single child, you said you had a great relationship with your moms, and how did that? I guess let me see this. Um, you played games. Did you do any? Were there any other notable things in your childhood that you feel like shaped who you are today?
Sports. I always loved sports. I think sports is also a very important part of my life, and I also did different sports in my childhood. But I switch, and I don't like sports. Going to the gym stuff. I really need to do fun game. Like now I do squash. As a kid, I would do football and judo, and later I did Wing Chun Kung Fu and Eskrima. It needs to be fun and fighting or playing for something.
Oh,
Okay,
you just spoke Maddie's language
I
because he
do.
grew up
I do.
learning martial arts as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, that's cool. So, what would you say, especially with like martial arts, things like that? Would you say that gave you a focus, or a discipline, or was it just fun?
It gives focus, and it's hard to I have a very very strong mind, and I'm like very stur. Like I would always argue with my teacher, so it's a bad habit. So I learned to take myself back in martial arts as well, because it's not a good idea to argue with your teacher there. And focus for sure. So in martial arts, you really learn how, if you repeat something and if you focus, how you can really master it and get much better. And yeah, so this is really amazing.
So
And a lot of
between that,
body feeling.
yeah, for sure. So between that and then also your dedication to games, and not just any games, right? But like when you talk about the Dark Souls, things like that, games where there's a consequence, and you mentioned the feeling of finally beating a boss after hundreds of tries, right? Or being in the guild in World of Warcraft and finally beating a boss that very few people can beat.
Yeah.
Do you think that that drew you to entrepreneurship because it's the same type of feeling that, you know, a lot of people don't make it. It takes a lot of hard work. You have to focus, you have to be dedicated, and you were willing to do 12 hours a day on World of Warcraft. Do you think that same mentality has have you brought that same mentality with you to Web3, do you think?
Yes, totally. I think that's the only way to found a startup, right? You need to
Yeah.
be very passionate about it, like I have been for World of Warcraft. And you need to embrace every aspect of it. It's not work, it's just your life, and you're working on your life, basically.
I like that. That's good. Mikey, what do you got, man? I'll mute myself.
No, no. I mean, I think this conversation is good, and I think it really kind of your childhood. I think the only other thing is you said one thing that was interesting to me, that you were kind of in a caravan traveling across Europe. What were you, like, homeschooled traveling, or you just vacationed a lot? Talk to us about that, because I think travel. Talk to us about your travel experience, and then travel in general, how it impacted you, because I think travel really helps open the mind.
Yes. Yes, a lot. And yes, my parents, they really bought this caravan when I was a very small child. So we took it and we drew to a lot of different countries in Europe. So that was really amazing to and maybe twice a year. So that was really great as a kid to see different culture, different kids make this experience. We can still play with each other even if we don't share the same language, but we can have fun together. This really showed me how much facets this world has to show. And that's also how I grew up, as a very passionate traveler. As a teenager, I went to Brazil with one of my friends back in time in school, which was a very different culture from what I knew from Europe. We are very stiff, and in Brazil is everyone, here, come, let's eat together, let's dance. Do you want to have a drink?
Yeah.
So
No, that's awesome.
that's amazing.
And I think what were some of your favorite places to visit then?
I think this always changes. One of my favorite places, but it's just my favorite right now because it was so different, was Japan 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just so different. So it was also rough in the first week to get comfortable because I wasn't able to eat with sticks. Everything was different. I don't like fish, and I'm on an island. Everyone eats. Basically, everything is based on fish, or most of it. So, so that was really strange. But still, it's once you dive into such a culture, it's just amazing to experience and see this. So one of the aspects I loved most in Japan is in the evening they always do onsen it's called. It's like a hot bath. You clean yourself first completely, and then you go into very hot bath and just meditate or relax for maybe 20 minutes, and you're going to be super sleepy and ready for bed afterwards. That's an amazing tradition.
Damn, I think America needs more of that. Absolutely. That
I need some of that.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Maddie, I don't know, man. I think my echo went away a little bit here.
I like that.
So yeah, I think that is a good kind of segue into, all right, you're hardcore gamer. Your mother was, super loving, kind of made you who you were today, and just being confident and open-minded. You got the travel going, but you did almost fail school because a lot of World of Warcraft. Take us through now your professional career. Did you end up trying to go to college, or did you just try to make it on your own? What does that look like?
Yeah, so after the school, I knew I don't know what profession I want to learn. I was 16, maybe 17, 16. So it was too early. And I know I love gaming, but I thought just because you're a gamer doesn't mean you're good in IT. So I was kind of afraid of that, because just if you're sitting in front of a computer doesn't mean you can code, right? So I was afraid of that decision. So I took like another school, which is 2 years. It's not mandatory anymore, but you can take it, and it will basically bring you on the way of your decision-making process for what profession, and you will also have some, a little bit of higher education on than the base school.
Yeah.
So, and and you have no French, so that was really the killer criteria for me. I don't want to have French, but you have IT. First time we really had IT lessons, and like easy stuff, Google, Excel, Word and stuff, but also courses like Cinema 4D modeling. So Cinema 4D is like a program or a software where you can model movies like Shrek. So you do 3D modeling. So that was amazing as well. But I'm not very creative, so it looks like kindergarten when I model something.
And so yeah,
yes.
take us through that then, because it sounds like you did find IT through that process, and
Yes.
might have sparked some interest. Why did it spark interest? And then what, take us through that process.
Yeah, so in the last school year, I was really bad because I didn't learn anything, and it was too much, and I played all day long. So when I came to this new school, it was suddenly very easy because they lowered the difficulty level of all the different lessons. So even I didn't have to learn anything at home. Just by listening in the lessons to the teacher, I was able to pick up everything, and I was suddenly very good in school. So this sparked like, oh, I felt like I cannot achieve anything before. And after this change, when I was finally getting good remarks, I was like, oh, okay, I can do something. And this was like a positive spiral feedback loop. So
Yeah.
I could still game, but I was also good at school, and I felt like, oh, I can do something, which just made me, feel very good. And after 1 year in this school, I said, okay, now I play 2 years of World of Warcraft. I just quit from one day to another completely, and then I was really, you know, starting my party life. So I met a lot of friends in this school. We were clubbing, having nice parties, and yeah, so that was maybe from 18 to 25. We were clubbing and raving all Friday and Saturday on parties. That was, before that, really, in those 2 years, I did not leave my house. So that was really 2 years only gaming. All my friends was my clan in TeamSpeak, and I didn't feel lonely, right? I was speaking all night and day long to them, but I didn't meet any friends in my real life anymore. So that was really, and then I really, oh, and I also finished this school where I did masterwork or school, final writing to end the school about the psychological effect. Why was I so addicted to World of Warcraft, and what was the mechanics making me so addicted to it? So that was like I reviewed this as a final work of this school, and then I started partying a lot.
Well, what? Well, you can't just say that and not
I
expand upon it.
yeah.
So take us through that. What do you what did you find, and what do you think World of Warcraft did well to make you so addicted?
Yeah, it's good. I should read my. I still have it printed, but I didn't read it for 20 years. Um, so I think I'm just trying to remember the core. So it's really 20 years now. Oh no,
Yeah,
no, no,
yeah. I mean, you don't
15. So,
specifics, but I'm sure
but
there was
yeah,
some themes, right?
yeah. So themes were for sure those 40 people raids, right? So you need to group in these huge clans and families just to get the best gear possible in the game, right? And you have to find a schema how you distribute those items internally in your clan. And this was most of the time reward based. So you would have like a point system. Whenever people are joining the 40 people raids, they will get points. And the more points you have on this list, the higher is your priority when an item drops, if you can have it or someone else. So this really makes you have to join every raid and be part of everything to have the most points and get the best gear as quickly as possible, to be the best hero. And of course you have the social aspects, like if you are the first to finish tier 2 on the server, then everyone will know your names. It was really a lot of fame and going on, and just the social requirement to achieve these large boss fights as such a large group. Yeah, I think that was some of the key findings in this work.
Maddie, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is interesting. At the end of the day, human beings have this need to belong, right? And what World of Warcraft did, and what many MMOs have done, is, but when you have that clan dynamic, it creates many, many small ponds in which someone can be a big fish. And who doesn't
Yes.
want to be a big fish, right? Especially if as a child, if you weren't a big fish, maybe because of sports or academics, it gave another area for people to be able to participate in and win. And who doesn't want that, right? People want a chance to win. And so now there is a component where you talk about like the addictive nature. um, I mean, geez, Mikey and I played Diablo. You played Diablo. Just sitting there farming legendaries is like crack, man, because it's like playing the slot machines. Well,
Yeah.
let me just do one more of these, one more rift, and I might get that ancient legendary or whatever it might be, or that primal ancient legendary. And so I think there's something to be said there. Let me ask you this: do you see any of the things that you wrote about and discovered about the addiction, and the draw that brings people into World of Warcraft? Do you see any of that in the Web3 space? Elaborate. What are the things that you think are almost a direct correlation, maybe mirror in Web3 what you learned about the nature of World of Warcraft?
So yeah, a lot. So NFT projects are like communities, right? So it tickles this root of community feeling. We are one, and there's only this many spots, and we are, yeah, we are this group. So I think we had the same movements all over history, right? Like it was the pop boys and girls, or the motocross cyclers here in Switzerland. You know, everyone at the motocross that would drive through the mountains, and you're a gang, a group. So I think we have. So this was also part of World of Warcraft, you know, with these clans, and you need to be a group to achieve something together. I think you have the same with these profile picture communities, right? So you need to generate value somehow. You need to feel special because I'm part of this group, and we do this and this, and we have this and this goals, or we are building this and this. So yes, we have, and also the market. You know, I also that's why I'm now earning or working on NFT Butler, because in all those games I always loved, also in Diablo 2, I loved the market, you know, like trading, what item is
Yes.
evaluated at what price, and you know, like how can it change, and yeah, so we have
No,
a
you're
lot of
right.
these mechanics in Web3.
Maddie spent
Nailed it.
many of hours, because before this we streamed video games. I don't think I got to tell you that. We played Diablo 3 and Elder Scrolls Online, and inevitably before we would start our stream in Elder Scrolls, I'd be like, Matt, what are you up to? And he's just traveling the world, going to all the markets, seeing what deals he can find. Like, that's what Maddie loved doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was and the wild part is people do this for play money, and now we're
Yes,
doing it for real money, you know.
yes,
And it's not that different. And you know, it's interesting because chat chimed in. Metasculptor said, you know, just the idea of leveling up gives you a sense of growth and accomplishment that's not easily obtainable in real life. I think that's actually
yes,
a fantastic point too, right? Life's hard. You know what I mean? You get into a job, it's like, you know, to get that promotion can take years, and it's a lot of work. And you can get that not only faster, but you have a measured path to get it in video games, where you don't necessarily have that in real life. You got to wait for somebody to quit, or maybe there's no opportunity, or maybe the boss doesn't like you. Whatever it is, there's all these other factors that come into it, where it's like it's pure in gaming. If I do this and I put in this many hours, or if I beat this boss, I will get that level. And I think there's something to be said about that. And then CeeLo said acceptance, and I think that's, you know, one of the biggest things is just we want to win, and we want to win with our clan. And I think it's interesting you mentioned the similarity in Web3 with projects having their own community. You want to win with your clan. You know, you want to win with your clan, and I think that it's interesting you see so many of these people that have hopped from project to project in groups, in these large groups that do this, and then they get into other groups, whether it be alpha callers or whatever it might be. You see these people start linking together, and they form these clans, and I think
yes,
that's interesting too.
Absolutely. The whole socialization aspect is just massive. And, you know, we're tribal people, right? We like to find
Yep.
our tribe and our group. And
Yep.
especially, like you said, in World of Warcraft, if you can be the top of that and get notoriety, there's a pretty cool feeling there, right? So
exactly.
let's move on to, you started getting into the partying scene, right? Take us through
Yes.
that. Did that become then a big, was that your next tribe of, just partying a lot, maybe too much? how did that affect you? And then moving into the professional career, because I definitely want to touch on the professional career because you've obviously taken that skill set and applied it to NFT Butler. So take us through that journey, man.
Sure. So after this school, I started an apprenticeship as IT professional here in Switzerland. And an apprenticeship is not like you're not studying it, but so you will actually work 3 days on a IT company. You will apply, hey, I want to be your IT apprenticeship. You will earn a quarter from what you would earn as a full-blown IT professional. And you work 3 days in the company, and you're in school 2 days of the week where you would learn all the theoretical stuff, um, coding, but also databases, project management, all these modules which belong to the IT profession. And at the same time, I was really discovering the party scene. I loved Goa music. It's like progressive techno music, and I really liked. I was so introvert and always at home. That was really a new, but I still, as a child, I love to connect and see people. So I'm not introverted per se. So I also loved this way of meeting new people and getting together. And the Goa scene is really like a modern hippie scene. So we have been to a lot of Goa parties, and this is really like somewhere in the woods there is a corner where a DJ will have some nice music, and everyone is dancing around the campfire and having tea together. So I really loved this experience. And I also tried psychedelics. And I think this really also changed my personality from that moment on, because I think I realized there is some deeper self. If you expand your consciousness and you see the world in a total different way, I was really starting to ask myself, what is life about, and what I am, and what is all around me. So I also did like 2 years of meditation after that, just because I read a lot of books from Robert A. Monroe about astral projection, so out of body experience. And I wanted to try this for myself to see if it's real, and have this proof for myself. And yeah, that was also important, for me, how it made me look at the world. And I'm 100% convinced my consciousness will survive physical death. So I think this takes a lot of fears out of your life. So when you think about steps, quitting your jobs, starting a company, or changing aspects of your life where you're afraid of, I think not having too much fear is very important, and in life to move forward and progress through life.
You just said a treasure trove of information there, man. I knew we would get you to open up, in different ways. And that's it, man. You just said some juicy stuff. One thing first, Maddie, what do you think? I think another reoccurring theme that's coming up in some of these conversations is the power of psychedelics. There's been
Yeah.
multiple people that have talked about this. And it
Okay.
is,
I know.
go ahead,
I
Maddie.
know. No, I know, man. It does come up a lot. It's see, here's the thing, Benny. I don't know if it's because Mikey and I growing up, we had this program called Dare, and they just made it sound like drugs were so freaking bad for you. And it's weird because there's like the low level stuff, but then it was like, at least for us, it was like, bro, hallucinating? That's a little dicey. And what's wild is this mentality of like, wait a second, maybe we don't know what we don't know. It definitely keeps coming up. And what's really wild is how many people seem to be having like these amazing mental breakthroughs as a result of it. Now, here's the thing. We're having a conversation with an upwardly mobile, successful person who did this, right? We don't tend to put on the stream the people who lost their jobs and are on the streets because of it either. So Who knows? I don't know what the ratio is, but there's a little bit of fear what I think that's normal about that stuff.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think, Mikey?
I mean, listen, I think if you're in the safe place, it's definitely interesting, worth if you can handle the mental aspect of it, it's definitely worth happening. I mean, I would equate it to me going through, I went through some mental stuff, and it was the equivalent of that. And when you get through the other end, and like you said, what I ended up with persevering through some pretty crazy stuff is you just get a new fresh perspective. And when you
Yeah.
have a new fresh perspective, and you can kind of, things that I think about is like, wow, it got really bad, but I'm still here, and I'm still, doing really well. And I was able to get through that. And I was able to almost step outside my body and take a look at what my life was and what I wanted to be and what the future looked like. That's in a sense, I feel like what psychedelics do. There's different ways to get there, right? And
Yeah.
if a psychedelic's going to get you that way, I am all for um, not promoting psychedelics. I'm all for doing what you need to do to be able to just take a step back, really evaluate your life, who you are, why you think you the way you are, and explore that, right? And figure out what really means and matters to you to help you better your life. And there's a bajillion ways to get there. I think
Sure.
psychedelics is absolutely one of them, and it has proven to be good for a lot of people. What are your thoughts, Benny?
Absolutely agree. So, and also, trying psychedelics for me was a long decision making process, right? Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't do this decision like from one day to another or spontaneously on a club. No, it was like maybe reading books for half a year and reading stuff on the internet. How does it feel? What is important? What is a proper dosing? Like so much stuff you should read. And only really if and there is always fear, right? I mean, you're opening a door and you cannot close this door anymore, right? So you
Yeah.
really need to feel comfortable. You need to be with very good friends in a setting where you feel very beloved, and you could um, you can be naked in front of everyone. That's the perfect setting because you feel perfectly comfortable, um, and and it will make you really see your inner self. So you really need to think about in what mental state am I, and do I feel good in life, or do I have stuff inside of me which I cannot think about because it was a very disturbing experience, and if
Right.
this is the case, it can be really dangerous, right? Because it
Yeah.
will unravel everything inside you, and you will get to know yourself better. So
Sure.
Right.
Well, and I think one thing you hit on right off the start there, Benny, was that people live their whole lives with these fears that they have put on themselves, right? These self-made barriers and boundaries that we they're self-imposed limits, you know? And what we do is we paint ourselves in a corner and freak out because we don't know how to get out. And sometimes there needs to be something that's there that says, man, you can walk on wet paint. It's not the end of the world. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's
yes,
like, and some, who knows if it's the really good stuff, sometimes walking on it makes it, makes art, right? It makes it
yes,
look even better. And that's, I think, where it unlocks things is people need to realize, um, there are a lot of people who are inhibiting their own happiness, their own growth, their own joy, and their own potential simply because of something that somebody said to them in fifth grade and they can't let go of it, or whatever. And
Right.
obviously there are more traumatic versions of this when it comes to PTSD and awful things that happen. I'm not going to pretend that bad things do happen to people, but the
mhm,
same thing mentally occurs is it creates this like block that we can't
yes,
get past. And I'm with you, Mikey. I don't think it's the only way to get past it, but I am really happy that there has been success for people who have tried everything else, have not been able to find success, and have found success
Yeah.
through psychedelics. Because man, we all deserve a chance at happiness and to pursue our life's mastery. And I think that's a big deal. So I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I think we're going to learn a lot more about it over the coming years for sure.
Right. And so the other thing I wanted to follow up, and then we can kind of move on down the career, is you said something really interesting that doesn't happen here a lot in the States. Is, we have what it's in the States it's called kind of vo-tech school, is the equivalent of what you're talking about, which is kind of this apprenticeship, right? I would
Yeah.
love to hear, because the norm here is go pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn schools for 4 years and then go try to find a job, which is kind of, backwards. Tell us the impact you had about going through that kind of um, internship, apprenticeship method of schooling and learning and the impact it had on you.
So also in Switzerland, it's like the lowest possible way of education into a profession, but it's the quickest way into actually doing something with your hand. And
Yes.
I was really sick of school. So I'm a strong character, so I really don't like people telling me what I have to do. So I really got sick or fed up with all the teachers telling me what to learn and telling me what to do. So in this apprenticeship, you come into a company and now you get tasks which bring value to this company, right? So you start maybe with easy things because you don't have a lot of IT skills when you start. So you start maybe setting up a computer and installing some tools or testing stuff out. But now actually you learn something for you, like in a role-playing game, right? You now learn a skill which you can make money from. And I needed this. I want to do stuff and I need to see a sense why I am learning this and what brings value and what do I not comprehend now. So this was finally I'm somewhere where I like to be and I love to work and not actually just sit there and listen. Yeah. So that was really amazing for me. That was like, now and I was the one of the best students in this year because it was so easy for me everything to pick up. I really felt home there. So I was really happy. I know a lot of people, they learn a profession and they find out I don't like this. And it's so
Yeah,
hard to know what a profession is going to be like when you're
yeah,
16 or 18. You have
yeah,
no idea, right? So you need to be in this situation and then you can decide, okay, this is not my thing or this isn't
Yeah.
that. So I was lucky there.
Yeah,
That was amazing.
absolutely.
man. Two great points you just mentioned. One, the power of mentorship and apprenticeship is that you get to do the thing that you're looking to do, right?
Yes.
And to Mikey's point, a lot of the times people will go to university, spend a lot of money, go into debt to learn a task, and then they don't start doing it till after. And
Yeah.
and it can be a big difference. And I can personally attest to that because you know, learning about aerospace engineering was fascinating. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Doing aerospace engineering was one of the most boring things I've ever done in my life. And so, because it's just very tedious, meticulous, slow, and quite frankly, you're a tiny little cog in the wheel, right? There's just a massive things that have to work to build something in that arena, and you just can't learn it all, and so you can only do a small little part. It would have been nice to have experienced that before finishing 4 years of school. However, the other part I think you mentioned, which is interesting, is that it would appear that this style of education is what triggered like your learning style, right? Because people learn in different ways, and standardized testing, books, and lecture is not how everyone learns. Some people are hands-on learners, and it's amazing how we hear about you hear about these stories in these leadership books about how, like, for example, Einstein, his what was it? It's like his fourth grade teacher basically said, "Hey, he should just drop out of school. He's not that smart. He's not good at learning." And it's like, well, no, he just wasn't learning from that style and he needed something different. And Leonardo da Vinci, same way. He wasn't even allowed in school because of the politics through his father, because he was being born out of wedlock, and so he had to like learn a lot of stuff on his own. And that's what gave him that incredible way of looking outside of the box and approaching things, which is what made him a name we know today. And so it's just interesting how that happens. I think that more people should like, I guess, just tune into the fact that we don't all learn the same, and that you can find you can find genius in a lot of different places. And I think that's cool because you found yours.
Yeah.
I love it. So take us through that learning. I mean, we've got the impacts of psychedelics. You're going through basically apprenticeship school. Take us through your a quick glance at your actual professional career until you find Web3. That little moment in your life. Take us through what it looked like and anything that you've learned from that part.
So first, I did my apprenticeship in a small IT company which would just do IT outsourcing services for smaller Swiss banks. Like, yeah, everything they do about account management, but also networking, databases, everything behind the IT infrastructure for Swiss banks. And then in my last year, this apprenticeship is 4 years. So you do this 4 years, and then you're an IT professional. Here in Switzerland, you can work as a junior network engineer or software developer. Like you're now a junior, and you will earn normal salary. But in my last year, Swisscom is like the largest internet service provider here in Switzerland. So or maybe half of Swiss people have a Swisscom contract for either their mobile phone or their TV, and most of them for the internet access. That's how I came from a very small company with 50 people, where you quickly know everyone, and you need to manage all aspects of the IT infrastructure, because you're not too many people, right? So you need to share the knowledge, and everyone needs to support all the bits and pieces, into a very large company with 20,000 employees, where you have very specialized teams. So now you're talking big enterprise, doing IT outsourcing and telecommunication infrastructure for all Switzerland and all the large enterprise companies, all the large banks, industries, everything. So I had a very good general base, because in this small company I learned everything about, but nothing in the very depth, but a very good overview across all the IT areas. And in Swisscom, so my last year, that was kind of tough, because in the last year you have to create your final studies of this apprenticeship. It's like a final exam. You need to pass it, otherwise you're screwed. And I didn't want to screw with school again, since finally I found something I'm good in. So I went to the Unix Solaris system administrator team in Swisscom. So this is really, Unix systems are amazing. It's those command line interfaces where you have black screen with white text. So that's Linux and Unix. And I really learned the depth how a Unix system works. And I did automation software there, actually, something not too far from what we do now, to build new Unix Solaris servers for different customers, and build clusters and manage them, and do monitoring of if all the systems are up and running, and automated failover cases. If one system goes down, the other will take over. So this was really system administration. It's a very strong base layer just to build stable and long-living IT infrastructures, because Unix is really the most amazing, or Linux is the most amazing operating system for stable services, because it's not a black box like Apple or Microsoft. It's really, everything is open source, and if you know how to look at everything, you can basically figure out always what is going wrong, because you can always look at the code if you have to, because you don't understand something, like that was really amazing. That's where I really made this switch of, I know how this works. That's
Okay.
important in IT, like to to feel like you can solve and understand every problem if you take the time and look at it.
I
That's
like that. So
go ahead,
let
Matty.
me ask you the tough question, which is iPhone, Apple, or Android?
It's a massive.
Android.
See
It's
that?
open
Same
source.
reason he likes
I have a
Unix,
shell on
y'all.
it. Yeah.
Open source.
Yes.
Well, of course. So you're coming from an IT guy that likes to break stuff and make things from the ground.
I know.
A Unix
I
Linux
had to take a win.
extraordinaire.
I had to take a win when I could.
No, I love it. I mean, listen, Apple is because of how easy they've made it and the closed ecosystem they've created, not because they have the most advanced tech. So
Yes.
this is all great insight, I think, into leading into Web3. I'm starting to get a very firm understanding of one, your mindset, that you're willing to grow, you're willing to take risks, you're fully confident in who you are as a person and what you're interested in, and now you have this professional career where you're learning how to tinker and build stuff from the ground up, which takes us to you being able to build a proprietary software in a very complex new space, right? Which is really impressive. Before we get to Butler, take us through the Web3 journey and how did you find crypto and what got you interested in NFTs? Love to hear that story.
So I was really late to the party, to be honest. Well, not for NFTs, but for crypto for sure. So I heard about Bitcoin for years, but I worked for 12 years at Swisscom. After Unix, I was a systems engineer for the messaging services and the spam and virus filters, and then I got to lead a small part of this team. So I did larger and larger projects, but I never really looked at Bitcoin at the white paper in the first place until like 4 years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years, but not in depth. We had someone joining our team at Swisscom who was a huge, or is a huge Bitcoin fan, which really made me curious and look at it. And it's really a rabbit hole, right? So once you dig into the tech and how it works and what is wrong with fiat money, once you dig into the hole, you just realize, you have to. This is going to be the next tech and how we shape our future. So I knew I knew I would like to be part of it, but I did have no idea what I'm going to do. I was slowly getting bored out at Swisscom. I was doing great projects, a nice team, a lovely family. So it was really the comfort trap there, right? So a good salary. I was able to raise my salary every 2 or 3 years because it was just, we did great projects and everything. And now to get out of this situation where you understand everything, you make good money, but it's getting boring, that was really a tough decision. And it was kind of destined, because before I quit and started our startup company, I moved within Swisscom because I felt after 12 years now I should do something new. So I moved to another team, to the database activity monitoring team, where it was all about database management. And then I realized, fuck, this is not what I want to do at all. After 3 months already. So it was really like life was telling me, you need to move on, but I had no idea what. And then just when I moved, I already started to look at the NFT. It was early 2021, I think. First NFT projects were suddenly exploding. Bored Ape Yacht Club. I remember myself looking at those apes at one ETH, and I was like, I don't pay 2,000 bucks for a smart contract thingy with a picture on it. And then a few months later, they were at 15 ETH, and then they were completely exploding. And the first thing we did is, just because I like coding, we just did small Discord bots for other NFT projects, like just to promote or because I worked in messaging at Swisscom, it's just a messaging service. So the bot would always record when sales and listings events occur on the OpenSea API, and then distribute those events for the community who buys the bot to Discord and Twitter, social media, and this token was just sold. Say hello to the new owner, stuff like that, and this worked like within a few months. We got a lot of requests for these bots because new NFT projects were growing like trees. So that was very nice. But I knew it won't be sustainable since it can only live as long as there are a lot of new NFT projects popping up, and others will make these bots free. Basically, what we are still selling today with NFT bots is mostly support. So one of the most important KPIs at Swisscom is a good customer support, and that's also what I learned with enterprise companies. If you have a very honest and open conversation, you are going to build a strong bonding to your customer. And NFT bots was only B2B. So I thought, okay, we need to have some sort of trading automation bot, which can be a B2C product, and everyone can be a market maker with this bidding automation. So first we tried sniping and minting as well, just because we liked coding bots. But I quickly realized it's just about gas wars. So in sniping and minting, it's all about who is in the next block and pays the most gas to get those NFTs which have a wrong place decimal point, unfortunately. But and you squeeze it to minimal profit margin if you pay the most gas, but you will win the trade. So I knew, okay, this is going to be a race to the least profit margin, and you're risking a lot of gas fees, so I don't want to do that. And we started then NFT Butler, which is a bulk bidding bot for OpenSea, because for the bids you don't have to pay gas. It's just a numbers game, and if someone accepts your bid, you can then make profit.
I love that little intro into Web3. That was fantastic. Maddie, I have a couple questions. You want to go first, or you want me to go?
No, man, go ahead.
So I liked your journey of building these bots, right? And you said something critically important. There are many people like yourself that can create bots or automation in this space, but having the customer and customer service, which many companies in this day and age need to hear. What does that look like to you when you think of NFT Butler, the bots that you're building? How do you interpret great customer service?
So everyone is important, right? So if you want to try NFT Butler, or if you have a subscription, and I mean, I code this, right? So I know every aspect of it. But when you're new in this game, you need to have support. How do I use this tool? What strategies can be done? We have customers all around the world, right? So we have technical issues for customers in China, or if a customer is living far abroad. So and I think it's really important to take everyone very serious. And if someone has an issue, we take this as a user story. We either fix the bug, or we help him guide through this issue until it's fixed. And that should really be the goal. Not like closing support tickets, sorry, we can't do anything. Really making sure you take care about technical issues, because you're a professional IT supporter. So you can solve it, and people will be thankful, and you will build a strong community feeling, basically, where everyone helps each other. So
yeah, and I what you just said, and not so many words, is it's not about checking off the tickets. It's about interpreting the problem and actually solving it.
Solving it. We don't close this ticket until it's solved, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that should be the goal.
Yeah, no, and that's beautifully and well put. I think the other thing, because I think this would be beneficial for the community, is you ended up settling on the bidding bot, because the rarity sniping stuff you said was a gas war, and kind of a rush to the bottom, in essence, of how much are you willing to pay to squeeze out the marginal profits but still beat everybody, right? Can you just explain that ecosystem and what rare, in your mind, breaking down what rarity sniping and gas wars and all of that really looks like in kind of layman's terms in, let's say, 2 minutes or so, just so we have a really good, concise understanding for our community to understand. And this will be great content that we can put up together on the internet as well.
Sure. So sniping and minting bots. First, there is so for minting bots, it's obvious, right? You need to have mints. So it does only work as long as we have a flourishing bull market where a lot of new projects are popping up. Then you can have mint bots. But this will work, right? Again, mint bots, if everyone is using mint bots, gas prices will just spike up. So in the end, you're also ending up as a war. Who has the fastest mint bot to catch on minting with get the first second the contract has been opened. Now gas is still low, so I want to get the first 100 mints or into the first 100 mints, because afterwards, at least if it's very, very competitive, gas will just spike up and you will pay more for minting. And for sniping, it's like, when you have, you can do different types of sniping, and sniping in general does only mean you are automatically buying something if a certain event occurs on the market. So this can be a token with a certain trade is listed below a certain price point. And this is sniping use cases which do still work today, right? So, I want to have gold skin. Someone lists a gold skin below 1 ETH, I will automatically buy it because I know I can sell it at 1.2. So this does it work. But if it's about those during reveal, you have this time period of maybe 5 to 10 minutes where all the rarity will be revealed. So now you need to have the quickest reveal bot which reads all the metadata, and then which tokens are going to have these rare traits and are currently listed on the market. Then you will have your sniping bot trying to catch it as soon as possible because it's listed very cheap. It's not revealed visually yet on OpenSea, but I already know it has very rare traits. And this is really because you're dealing with this so short time frame. Everyone is trying to do the same stuff. Whenever you have these situations, you will end up in gas wars because now you have multiple bots going on the same targets, which is obviously priced too low, and they will fight against each other. Who's going to be the first in the next block and who's going to pay the most gas to front run all others to make this transaction happen, and all the others just lost gas. Only one will make the race.
Right. Yeah, that's a great, simple explanation. Maddie, anything before I ask another question?
Well, I think the only last thing I would say that's important for people to recognize is that's how the bots will work in theory, right? But when you get competing bots, the thing that people don't like to talk about is you could theoretically build a bot with, let's just say, slightly more cumbersome code, right? So and just for easy purposes, just think of it this way. It's slightly slower than maybe the bot that Beni makes, right? Well, it's still a computer and it can go so fast that you can suddenly be burdened with thousands, if not significantly more, in gas fees and no NFTs, and it can blow. You can be like, oh, I'm gonna make so much money with this bot. I have $10,000, and in 4 seconds you have $0. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that there's just the bidding war there is also a battle of code efficiency that a lot of people don't see. Yeah, it's under there, and so it's like you're really banking that you really do have the best kind of racehorse here in this. Otherwise, it's a lot of money out. So I think that there's almost a, I won't say predatory, but there's real consequences in not doing this correctly. And so it sounds like, to your point, you avoid a lot of that by just simply saying, let's just put in bids on OpenSea and not have to worry about that. I think there's something to be said.
Yeah. No, beautifully said. Anything to add there, Benny?
No, that's totally it, really.
Yeah.
Bidding will always work. Bidding is just a numbers game. You just spread, look, I'm willing to offer you 20% below the floor price, but you can have liquidity right now.
Yeah.
And this is my risk level. You don't have to be the highest bidder all the time. You can just define your strategy. It's like a computer game. I'm willing to take this risk on this type of tokens with this type of trades. If someone wants to accept this offer, fine for me, because I hope I can, or for my calculation, I feel like I can make 10% profit on this. And yeah, so you can really,
Yeah.
and it's not like, I need to be the fastest. It's just like, this is my
Right.
risk level, and that's it.
And so, anything else to add on to why you chose a bidding bot over? Is it just the gas war? Is it easier? Anything else to layer on to why you chose NFT Butler? And then we'll get into NFT Butler.
Yeah, I mean, I picture the future of Web3 and NFTs with some of my favorite games like Diablo 2, with NFT economies. And I follow all these different crypto games. I think it's a very hard thing to accomplish, a really functioning, well-balanced crypto economy. But it will happen. It will give, I hope it will give ownership back to the users. And I wanted to build a tool where I can play all the markets, because I always loved playing the markets in those games, right? And I also loved Path of Exile, which has a huge market. So I wanted to build a tool which can play on all these markets to also, have this tool supporting me when I play a game. And I would like to have maybe one NFT to, get to own it in this game, right? So it was just amazing for me to see I can now use or code a tool to play on this market.
Yeah.
So that was
No, I love it, man. And so let's do that. Let's move into NFT Butler. How we like to do, at least the beginning here, is give us the 2 to 3 minute elevator pitch. Pretty concise explanation of what NFT Butler is, and what NFT Butler does, and what it actually does for a customer interested in getting it.
And I share my screen. Can I showcase it to you?
I think you might be able to do that. It's gonna mess up the windows a little bit, but let's definitely give it a try, because I think it would be helpful to see it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna blow up your screen as the full stream for the time being as you talk through it. And go ahead. Are you sharing anything? It says the stream has ended.
Yes, 1 second. Try again. 3, 2, go live. It doesn't seem to work. 1 second. Again. Now sit tight. I'm fetching you back.
Said the stream has ended again. Maddie, do we not have streaming permissions in the channel?
Let me take a quick look here. I thought we did. I thought we solved this last time. I will check again.
I can also explain NFT Butler in voice, of course. It's just, when we
Oh,
started.
hold on real quick, because it would be cool to kind of.
Yeah, there's so many features. It's much easier to showcase.
Yeah. Hold on. Connect, allow me to join the channel. Streaming.
Speak, video, activities, voice. Okay, good.
It's under permissions. Yeah, use application commands. Read message history, manage message. Mention everyone. It's definitely probably a setting as to why you're not being able to. Activities?
Hold.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Give it one more shot, and if it doesn't work, then we're just gonna have to do the voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just googling it as well. Permission.
Yeah, it just dropped.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it says you can head into server settings and then the roles tab to enable the video permission for specific roles within the server.
All right,
Troubleshooting online, folks.
Let me take a look at this. Hold.
That's why.
Roles. Edit. Permissions.
Yeah, video is turned on for.
That's maybe only the cam.
Yeah.
Go live on
Yeah, it is turned on for you as a VIP member.
Yeah.
Weird.
Okay, so
well,
maybe let's
start chatting about it.
That works.
I think we got it.
Oh,
and it's happening. Okay. So let me.
Okay. Oh.
Let me. Yep, it's working.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So hold on. Let me.
Perfect.
Get the full screen here. And then we will get it going. And then you can give us the elevator pitch and show us what's happening.
You know, I'm reading the chat. You know what it is? It's the All-Star Girl. Came in, she switched it. She already knew what to do. She was just like,
see, this is why we have
nailed it.
Other amazing people.
Shout out to the All-Star Girl. Thanks so much.
Yes.
Star Girl is the bomb. Okay, so we have the full screen up and running, man. So let's
awesome.
Let's go
let's
for
have a
it.
look at NFT Butler. Awesome.
So give us the, as you're doing this, let's not do quite a demo because we can do the demo after, but I definitely want to hear what is NFT Butler and why people should be excited.
So NFT Butler is really just a bulk bidding bot where you can create tasks. Each of those boxes here is a task, and it can send bids offers automatically to OpenSea. So if you look at OpenSea, we check any collection. On all the NFTs on the OpenSea market, you can create an offer, right? I can say I like this land. It has no artifact, but a spirit category. So I want to make an offer on this thing for 1.7 ETH. And you can do this because you want to have these NFTs, right? And you would like to own more of these and just hold on to them. Or you can do this as a market maker. What's called in the traditional financial world? Just to say, look, I'm going to offer you this amount of ETH as liquidity right now. I'm going to take the risk of owning this NFT, and I think I will be able to sell it for a higher price. And there's different ways of spreading these bids on the NFT market. You can either spread these on each item one by one, Or you can make a collection offer where you can say, I want to do a bid on the entire collection. So I can say, the best offer right now is 1.79 wrapped Ethereum. But this is the floor price. So this is a very close gap only from the highest bid to the floor price. But this bid is going to be valid for all items on this collection. So, and NFT Butler does nothing else than instead of clicking on each item or on the entire collection or also on trades here, so you can also say, I want to do one bid, which is only applicable to all NFTs having a coda. Yeah, so this coda yes attribute. So you can all do this with NFT Butler, but you can define a strategy like a task and say, please execute this bid and renew it every 15 minutes for a month. And it's just a numbers game, right? I mean, you distribute as many bits as you can. You can do about between 4,000 and 6,000 per hour. It depends a little bit on your internet connection and how the OpenSea API is
4 to
performing.
6,000 an hour?
Yes. So you're distributing 100 to 120,000 bits per day, and then it's just a numbers game. It's really just how much risk am I going to take on what NFTs and what trades, and what will it be selling it for. So Butler is only a toolkit. When people want to earn money with the NFT market, they have to dig into the market like any other computer game. You have to understand what are people looking for, what prices are they willing to pay, and then you can define your tasks and strategy and execute it with Butler. So Butler just provides you a shitload of different tool sets, how you kind of configure those tasks and make them loop and outbid others and counterbid automatically if someone else is outbidding you. But you need to know the market and define your strategy to make profit with Butler.
Right. And so that's a great way of kind of describing it, is that it's tool sets but highly customizable for bidding. I think my follow-up question is, have you started to institute analytics to kind of help, I would say, massage the user along to things they should be looking for, whether it's certain attributes in a collection or, that market research, that kind of extra level of customer service to say, hey, not only are we've created this tool, but we're going to help you guide along the path to try to, help you gain or make some profits?
Not a lot. So yes, we do. Obviously, we have a huge database, and we need to monitor the market and all its changes very quickly and update the database to every change. So we have statistics, and what we do provide is some important key performance indicators like the floor price and the trade floor price history. So on all of these boxes is basically a trade or a trade collection task. We can see now, so this trade type rainbow colors belongs to this collection Pablo's LOL. But we can also see statistics on this specific trade. So we can see what is the floor price for this and how did the floor price change compared to the collection floor price. So we have metrics to see is what am I bidding on and how was the history. So also what were the last sales events. So what can I expect from owning one of these NFTs with this trade. So we provide this data, but we do not have like a full-blown AI recommendation system where we just tell you, look, this is your next target. You're going to win money on this. I mean, I think this will never be possible. Otherwise, you're just directing all the people on the same targets, and it's not going to work out anymore because everyone is bidding on the same stuff.
Right.
So it's part of the game to find your own secrets and your niche. And
no, I love it. Maddie, what do you want to add?
No, that you answered the one question I did have, and that was it. Like that, you can create a problem. It's like, well, wait a second. If we're all using this, then what happens? But you nailed it, which is essentially you want to find. You said it perfectly. You need to find a niche and kind of learn that, And I think that's important aspect of this.
Yeah, Absolutely. But so there is some interesting built-in functionality. You just showed us one, right? Like you are able to see past purchases and sells based off a specific trait in an NFT collection. I also saw there was a bid job window that you had up there too. Can you take us through any other features, the queued counter bidding jobs, or any other features in the tool that you'd like to walk us through?
Sure. So it's basically structured in four main modules. You have the search module, where we index about 1,500 biggest collections of OpenSea. And now you can filter. So I can say, maybe I'm starting with a bidding budget of half an ETH. So I only want to see collections between a floor price between 0.1 and 0.4 ETH, which to have at least 200 sales in the last 7 days, maximum royalties of 2%, and only collections which are at least 30 days old, because after the first 30 days, most of the, or in the first 30 days, you have a lot more volatility on an NFT collection than after a month. That's at least what I feel.
Yeah.
And the 200 sales you filter out, I only want to bid on collections where still a lot of sales are going on. So once someone accepts my bid, I want to be able to sell this NFT again for profit. So you want to make sure there is still trading going on your collections you're bidding on.
Love it.
So now you get a bunch of boxes. This is basically all collections. You can sort them by different statistics, number of sales. And you can now find your targets you want to bid on. You can either create a collection bidding task directly from here, or a token bidding task where you will bid on each individual token. You can also check the statistics here to see how the floor price changed. So this would be, for me, would be a dangerous collection, because this is in hype right now. And after hype, I have no idea about this project, right? So no research done. I just know I like stable floor prices, because I know if I bid below stable floor prices, I'm very likely to make profits. And if it's raising in price, it's more likely, maybe I'm bidding now, 20% below this floor price, but maybe the floor price is coming down again tomorrow. So then I bought something above the new floor price.
Right.
So, and from here, you can watch the stats. You can create the token bidding task. And just to give you an idea, what you can do here is you can I can say I only want to bid on the top 1,000 rarity rank based, because I know the top 1,000 they're going to be super rare. People are going to watching out for them, so I'm very confident I can flip them above floor price. Okay, this is we don't have really rarity here, since all these tokens look the same. But you can always, let me maybe take another one here. This one. Let's take top 1,000. Then you can check the selection. So you can always check what targets is this task gonna find to bid on. So I can see, okay, this is the top 1,000. You can go through those pages, but you can also combine your filter with other market filters. Like, I only want to bid on items which are listed in a certain price range, like from 0.2 to 2 ETH, or I only want to target my bidding on items which were sold last in between a certain price span. So you can target holders which are currently in profit or loss of an NFT, because they are maybe more likely to accept your bids.
Ooh.
So you have a bunch of options to first filter what you're going to target, and then you can also decide in what price range do I want to do bidding, like from 0.2 to 0.35. What should be the outbidding steps if someone else is bidding against my bid? How much do I want to outbid him? So you can say just in ETH steps, or you can say I always want to bid the total bid price by 1%.
Mm-hmm.
how long should this bid be valid. You can also set caps, so automatically make this task stop if the floor price of the collection drops below 0.3 ETH, then you will no longer bid. So we have safety features built
nice.
in. And you can say, okay, and this task should be looping forever in a 30-minute interval.
Interesting.
And you base, yeah. So
and then when you create that task, it's off and running until it executes.
Yes. So this is the next talk. That's okay. Let me just put the lower bid price here. Create task. Then we go, this is my token task list. So you can see I have currently 4 running tasks here. You can queue up as many as you want. So here I have tasks which are finished. I can see here I processed 131 bits. 129 I was at the highest. It's currently waiting 3.5 minutes to be dragged into the running queue again and loop through those bits. And here we have now our new task. So I can either add it to the queue and it will be automatically picked once a slot is available in the running queue. So this is really like the playlist. We were, or Dave, my co-founder, was inspired by the famous music app
Spotify.
by the Spotify playlist.
Nice.
So here we have token tasks running, and now when you have, this was just the most recent feature we released, is this instant counter bidding engine. So this is really, you can now enable some tasks. So some of my tasks have instant counter bidding enabled, which will basically get an event push if someone else is outbidding you. So we can open here one token. So I was bidding on this 3D invisible friends here. And we can see here, look at first I bid 0.16 WEF. Then someone bid between here, I guess. So I had to outbid him with 0.20 wrapped Ethereum. Now NFT Butler Zorro came back. It's actually one of our community, also an NFT Butler user, and he bid this amount. So we can check the offers. So you see, 1 minute ago, he outbid me. So now the instant counter bidding engine just got this event. Someone bid more than you. Do you want to raise your offer? And the counter bidding engine will then check, is this offer he counterbid you still within your minimum and maximum bid price range? And if yes, it will place a new offer to counterbid.
Interesting. So before this, it was only sending out bids, and if it took, great. But if someone outbid you, then it would just not execute anymore, right?
It will. You have to wait until. Oh, look, now it's starting right now. My filters do not target anything anymore because I'm only targeting listed items in the top 1,000. So we don't have an active job here. Sorry,
he started a job and he might have bought something he didn't want, people.
No. I put the low price below the floor price. So this is not gonna. If I win one token for this, then I'm gonna be super happy tomorrow.
So any other features you want to show before we kind of talk about get you back up on screen and kind of talk about the future of NFT Butler and NFTs in general?
Sure. So this 3-dimensional. So we have this search engine. You can create collection tasks, token tasks. You can also drill down into a collection where you get this trade view. So now I get, for all the on one forced trades, I get these small little boxes where I can see there is this one here. There is Kitsune Mask Gold with 33 items. This is the floor price of this trade. And I can now also create token bidding tasks on top of a trade, or I can also select multiple trades at once and say, I want to create a task on all these trades combined. So
gotcha.
And that's really the tough thing, right? People coming into Butler, they really have to learn a lot. How to use this tool, it's not made for everyone, right? It's really, it requires a lot of time to create those tasks, study the market, but then it really works fine in bearish and bullish cycles, because in a bear market, people are more fearful, so they're willing to accept lower offers because they want to make sure they have liquidity. So you just need to manage your risk to not spread bits among all NFTs, but just the rare ones, for example. And in a bull market, you have new NFT projects popping up everywhere, anyways, which just gives you more targets since the overall market is growing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. Well, let me if you can stop sharing your screen, I'll pop it back over to the videos, and we can start kind of winding it down and getting towards our ending questions here. As I'm doing that, Maddie, any thoughts? Anything you wanna start talking about or add to the conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things you mentioned, which I think is a fair and honest take here, is that this may not be for everybody. There is a level of work that goes into setting up these bids, doing
Yes.
some research. It's an effective tool, but like anything else, it has parameters. You know, this isn't
Yes.
really a hammer. This is a precise tool, and if you don't know how to use it, well, maybe you don't need to add it to your collection. But that, I think that that's fair. I like hearing that, because I think a lot of people always want to make it sound like, everybody needs this, buy one get one free kind of mentality,
Yeah.
and that's not what it seems like you're pushing here. And really, at the end of the day, you're saying what we kind of joke about all the time, which is, listen, do your own research. There's no one-stop shop that you don't have Jarvis, right? This isn't some AI that's just going to go out and make you money in the NFT space. You have to set parameters. It's going to do what you told it to do. And at the end of the day, if you have a fairly strong grasp of the market, the traits you're looking for, you found a niche, and you have an idea of what the value should or shouldn't be, then you can set up parameters in this and accurately find the things you're looking for. Hopefully, if people accept the bids, but you should be able to optimize that in your favor.
Yeah.
If it's
Yes,
not something you're looking to do like that, then maybe hold off. And I think that that's a fair take.
definitely.
Yeah, and then we for some odd reason, unfortunately, a lot of people in our community are getting hacked. I don't know if it's just a resurgence of hacks in the recent weeks and months. But can you talk about security and how the bidding here works for that, since it's top of mind for a lot of people we deal with?
Yes. So automated bidding requires to automatically sign transactions, right? Usually when you send a bid, you have to click sign on the MetaMask app. So that's why NFT Butler requires to hold a private key of a wallet. So every task is created with a wallet. And to add this wallet into NFT Butler, you need to add it based on its private key. That's also why we designed the whole NFT Butler application as a desktop app, because we don't want to store these private keys, in a browser cache or somewhere, or, in our backend. So all your personal data is stored strongly encrypted only on your local computer, and it's never going to be sent over the internet or anything like that. It will just be used locally to sign your bits and then send those bits through the OpenSea API to OpenSea. And we are also completely in line with the terms and conditions of OpenSea. So we are not doing anything forbidden. You're just, a market maker with NFT Butler, and we want to make sure all your secrets stay strongly encrypted on your computer only. That's why NFT Butler is a desktop application. Everything else, like your task configuration, is going to be sent to our backend. Also, the search engine is coming from our backend, just not your private details. They are going to, also when you install NFT Butler on another computer, you log in with your Discord account, it's going to pull all your tasks. You just have to add your wallets because they need to be stored locally and strongly encrypted.
Well,
But
that seems
you
like
have
the most safe, secure way you can do it. So you do have an answer for that, and I think that was The question is ultimately, is it locally based to your computer? And that answer is yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. Maddie, any other questions before I talk about kind of the future, or are you feeling good, man?
Feeling good.
All right. So let's talk about the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months. Benny, we would love to hear what you have in store for your community. Fascinating conversation already. Loving opening up you as a person, but let's talk about NFT Butler in specific. Next 6 to 12 months, what can we expect to see from you?
So right now, the bidding, we have put so many features into the bidding automation. Butler a year ago was one page. You can create a manual task. There's no search, everything. You have to find token IDs, and I want to bid on token 1 to 100, or you have to find all those token IDs. So we have so many features. I'm coding Butler day and night. It's really my passion. So this made some of the UI parts clunky, or you have to click on a lot of different icons, and a lot of our customers, they live daily in Butler. They are editing tasks, they are starting something new, they want to check the logs or the graphs. So we feel like we have to do some cleanup of the UI since we implemented so many features in a year. So we should simplify a lot of the UI. So that's what we are currently working on. And we also want to make the listing process automated. So right now you get a lot of bits distributed, then you get the push notification. Oh, okay, a bid is accepted. Now you're going to look at OpenSea. Okay, what did I get? What did I pay for? It's like a little loot box, right? And then you will sell it for profit. But you have to do this manually, right? And we want to automate this part as well. So say you have a bidding strategy, we also incorporate to have a listing strategy. So basically start listing every accepted bid NFT landing in your wallet 5% below the top trade floor price, then gradually decrease the price in 0.01 ETH steps down to a minimum profit margin of 0.05 ETH, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So this would also allow you to do more trades, since you don't have to list them all manually. You can just say, okay, this is my bidding strategy, this is my listing strategy. Now I'm off for holidays for a week in Thailand. Please make it work.
I like that. So what I'm hearing is, in addition to automating bidding, you're going to add listing, and you're just giving it a real good new UI refresh and new skin to make it more simple and easier to digest. Anything else to add there, or did that sound right?
That's absolutely off. And we are in such a changing market, right? We always have to adapt to changes in the market. Maybe once Blur releases official APIs, we will also incorporate bidding on Blur, of course. And maybe there's going to be another market, or maybe there's going to be new features coming from the OpenSea API. So what I really learned is it's never going to be boring, and it's really hard to plan more than 4 weeks in advance. Of course, we have a long-term vision and we are really mainly community driven. So all our community can make suggestions. We will pick all of them up, put in our backlog, and then either start prioritizing them with community votes. And sometimes also we have to take business decisions and say, this feature is now very important for us because everyone else is promoting this feature and we haven't implemented it in the same fashion. So we need to adopt it a little bit just to be healthy as a business in the market. But yeah, it's a huge list, and we are working all day, night long at it. But it's really hard to plan more than 4 weeks into the future.
Awesome.
If you're realistic.
And so we have 2 final questions. We lied. We actually have 2 more formal questions. They're very easy. But the last thing I want to catch before that is I would love to hear, and you keep this very short, but just me, and I'm sure somebody that watches this is got to think the thought of, okay, this looks interesting. For how much time would I need to put into this to produce what we would think substantial monthly profits? Because I know you charge a fee. So what is your
Yes.
pitch to people to say, hey, I'm going to say you're spending $200 a month for this tool, whatever it may be. I don't know. You can tell us the prices now, but how much actual time do you think it takes to get that feedback and earn some money and maybe one or two success stories from your community?
Mhm. So on average, our people make between 1 and 2 ETH profit per month. We have some of them, they do a lot more, but they are playing with a lot more funds. In general, if you want to get started, you should start with at least, I think, half an ETH or 1 ETH budget just for bidding, because you can only put this much bits per ETH in your wallet active on OpenSea. And we have very good mentors. So part of our education process in Discord is we have mentors which are very professional traders. They are using Butler for more than 6 months and are very successful with it. And they offer like mentoring service in our Discord. You can book an hour for, I think, $60 or 2 hours for 100, something like that. So we have official mentoring prices. And this mentoring one-to-one session will be very beneficial for you, because he will show you everything it takes to create a task, will explain all the features in a one-by-one session, and also give you some basic templates for good tasks so you can start bidding. Usually people have this back within a few days, just with 1 or 2 flips with those template tasks, just to get a first grasp on the application. And they will also educate you how to look out for good targets for bidding in the NFT market.
Love it. And then finally, what are the prices? I know you have an NFT. Are you ever going to mint more? What does that whole ecosystem look like if I'm interested in buying in?
We have minted 200 lifetime NFTs, 150 are distributed to the market. And there will never be more lifetime NFTs. And we used the funding of our startup through those lifetime NFTs initially. But now, to have a long-term, healthy startup cash flow, we basically added subscription-based access in October last year. And this is really the revenue stream we are pushing and growing. So that's also why we are not expanding the amount of lifetime NFTs, because we need to get the recurring revenue stream going and increasing, since I do this now full time for a year. And Dave just joined me this week to be full time now with me as well.
Awesome.
So we really need to make sure, we can. And it's not about getting rich. It's really just to pay our rent and our grocery. We could both earn triple the salary if we worked for large enterprise companies, but
Right.
we do this because we believe in this, and this is our baby and our passion.
And so how much is it month to be a part of the fam?
0.225 ETH per month and 0.06 ETH per week.
Oh,
so
you can do it for a week too. Love it. So monthly or weekly, you heard it there, monthly, folks.
Exactly. And everyone here in the stream, if you join our Discord and open a ticket and let me know you are part of the stream, everyone can have a 3-day free access. So that's what we usually give to people anyway. If they like our socials, you can always get a 3-day trial for free, of course.
Okay.
You heard it there first, folks. Midlife fam getting taken care of like usual, and Beni doing the good work for us all. We appreciate it, man. So winding down.
We'll also have
Go
a
ahead.
giveaway, I think. Sorry. I think we will also have a giveaway, right?
We will follow up on those details. I don't know the details, but let's follow up on that, and we can talk about what else we'll do for the fam. But they always know we take care of them for sure. So following up and winding down, we got 2 questions. One, do you have any questions for us? Because believe it or not, we just talked for 2 hours and it was a beautiful conversation. We peppered you with questions. We like to return the courtesy. If you don't have any, totally fine, because I know we're putting you on the spot.
Uh, Not on the top of my head right now. It's just so much happened, and it's 5 a.m. here. But it was
Totally
really
cool.
awesome. I have never been to an interview like this where it's actually about the person, and not only. I'm so used to just the technical stuff. Look, this is
Yeah.
NFT Butler, and you can do all this. So this was really amazing, and I felt very cozy here with you guys. So that was really amazing. Thank you so much for
Thank
this.
you. And you kind of answered it. Anything you want to expand on? But our second question is, you've done a thousand of these at this point, especially AMAs, Twitter Spaces, ton of stuff in the space. How do you think tonight on Midlife Crisis went compared to your other experiences?
This was the best. This was the best interview I had so far. Really,
Oh man, that
it
means
was really amazing. I liked it a lot.
Nice.
thank you so much, man. That means the world. We've heard a lot of similar feedback, just kind of taking you and thank you, man. I mean, you opened up, and I'll let Maddie say his closing comments. I'll say mine, and we'll call it a night. How does that sound? Go ahead,
All right,
Maddie.
sounds good. So, well, first thing I'm going to say is this: is I started out earlier. I said Apple or Android. And you said Android because you're a tech guy and you like the tech. However, after hearing this, I have to say it sounds like the meta is if you like tech, you should use an Android, but if you like making money, you should sell iPhones. And what you said about your future is you basically started with this very robust system, but over the next 12 months, your goal is to essentially turn it into kind of an iPhone, right? Make it easy to use so more people can use it. I think that's smart. I really do, and that's coming as an Android guy, right? The bottom line is that Mike always says it, and he's right. The stock price speaks for itself. You know what I mean? There's a reason there's a lot of iPhones out there, and so if you want to position yourself well in the market, I think that the people in this space who can uh you know, what would be a good adjective for that? I'm just going to say, you know, uh, simplify, simplify and automate these systems in a way where the average person can use it is going to be huge because you can't expect, look, the video games have done it. Diablo has done it. the these games that are so robust and so complicated, sure, you get a bunch of us, like we're the geeks, right? We like that stuff. But the average person looks at a game like that, they're like, it's too much. It's too much,
Yeah,
right? You got to simplify it. And there's an art form to that. And I think that there's a need for that in this space. I'm glad you recognize it. I think it's cool that you're filling a niche yourself and how you've built this. And what you've done is you've taken your passion and you've built it into something that you can do on a day-to-day basis and something that you enjoy, man. You just continued the same thing you did with World of Warcraft, the same thing you did with going out clubbing in the raves, you know what I mean? And the same thing when you dove into IT, you're doing that with this. And I think it's really cool because you showed tremendous success in those things. And it sounds like that's where your passion is going to take you here. So I love getting a chance to get to hear about your story and your life. And man, I really think this could be something really cool in the future. I'm excited to stay in touch.
Yeah, man,
awesome.
Matt, beautifully said. And I'll add, kind of the narrative I say is I think it's pretty magical. We're across the world from each other. We were just able to connect online, talk about something that's revolutionizing the world as we speak, and build a friendship, all for the first time ever, right over online. So it was beautiful to see happen. Thank you for being vulnerable, sharing stuff about your childhood. That's not easy to do behind closed doors, much less live on the internet across multiple channels. So thank you for that. Thank you for the feedback that you appreciated, which you just went through. And I will reiterate that this is exactly how Maddie and I look at it. We've just built a friendship online. We want to win together. We want to continue to grow together. Maddie and I are going nowhere. We will be in this space and building our media empire forever. And we cannot wait to just win and ride the roller coaster with you, man. So thank you for the time. And thank you for being so open. Really appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here. It was really a pleasure and an honor.
Absolutely.
So much,
and with that being said, people, Midlife Crisis is shutting it down on a Tuesday night. We will be back Thursday. We have Utherverse coming. They're trying to revolutionize the metaverse like 1,000 other people. We'll see how it pans out in their perspective. It's going to be a fun conversation. We love you all. Thanks for coming back, and big old army tonight. Even though we took a week off, it warms our heart, makes us realize that we got the right community.